And so, looks like the node, right? And others, as they come up, should be the platform for bringing these people out of their hiding places and putting them out there in the public domain, right? So they can also start to serve the general public. But I also think that one area where, the developer landscape needs to grow a little bit more is in terms of this diversity, right? Because you find a lot of people who say they are web technologists and all that, right? But then you don't really find people who claim to have a bunch of other skills around. And I think that is one area in which, although the ecosystem has grown quite a bit, there is still a room for a bit more growth in terms of the diversity of skills that the developers bring to the table.
Okay, so to add up to what you all said, the interest in this kind of area is rising over the period as compared to maybe 5 years ago. The use of social media, the use of the internet is on the rise. So I'm happy that we are able to convert that interest into this kind of thing, that will convert our innovativeness or our talent into what? Cash. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now that we see that there's still a long way to go, what are some of the things that our higher institutions, both technical university, Pitt University, and then Ghana Telecom University, what are they doing to increase the skill set of the ecosystem?
Okay, for us, both technical university, in the final year, it's obligatory that you all engage in entrepreneurship, or you take entrepreneurship as a course. So with these ideas, we train you to think entrepreneurial, so that you convert your innovativeness or what you are able to develop into cash. So we are encouraging our students in this angle. So that's what we are able to do. We equip our students, we train them. Enam is here. She's a testimony. she can compare how we train our students on how to develop our own business ideas, to be able to present the ideas, write business plans. Okay, yes, the other option is that you write a business plan that will market your business idea, or that will convert your innovativeness into cash. Yeah, that's one of the ways of which we are looking at today.
So, coming from Hotech University and also from Ghana Telecom University College, I can say that over the years we have been able to produce quite a number of people. When I look around, I see a lot of them who are able to see the program today are products of these two universities. I think that shows that we are actually on the right path, and most of them are the facilitators, those who did the training. It means that we are actually doing the right thing. Other things that we do is to expose them. Sometimes these students don't know the work of skills that they have acquired. So we try to expose them to competitions where largely they're able to win and they're able to rub shoulders with people from other places, and they get to know that yes, we have the skill set. What is left is for them to build on the confidence to be able to get it out there and then show that they have the skill set to be able to compete. So as universities, we have been able to produce the right caliber of students. Just that sometimes it's difficult. While they're in school, they think that they are just giving them unnecessary trouble. But those who are able to take it seriously, when they come out, they're able to see that yes, the training that they have acquired is actually worth the time and effort.
So we get the comment from someone. Okay. So far as the ecosystem is concerned and what we are doing, I'm also a part-time lecturer at University, Ghana Telecom University, and then Hotech University as well. So what we've been doing is basically to improve the quality of the type of technologies that we actually develop. You realize that there are two things to the whole equation. The needs-driven nature of the applications that are developed, and then the also the other side of the demand in the community. What we've been doing from the needs-driven approach is to basically make sure that softwares or web applications are having a need to have basis and also having payment integrations and other relevant integrations within it to be able to drive the necessary growth.
So yeah, so I'm definitely not part of any of the universities, so I have no real perspective of what's going on the ground. But in a more general term, I would say that one of the big things I think our universities can do, and which it sounds like both technical and others are already doing, is to make sure there's a better match between the skills that the students are acquiring and what is actually needed out there to have transformative effect, right? You find there are a lot of students who go to school and who come out and say they have certain skills whatsoever, but then when they actually come to you on the job site, they don't really know anything, right? And so there is a mismatch between what they are learning in the school versus what is actually needed on the ground. And it seems as though there are moves in the universities to try to address that, and I think that is the key thing that we can do. A second thing that I think we can also do in our universities, and again, it sounds like both technical and Ghana Telecom are already on the path to that, is to, and Madam has already mentioned that, right, is to train students who come out of school, not necessarily people who are going out there to go look for jobs, right, but people who are going out there to look for problems and solve the problems, right? And I think that is a big weakness in our overall educational structure in Ghana, right? And I'm going into education policy here, which is that our education from basic all the way to the university is full of what? Rote memorization. That's about it, right? And so if you get to the final year before you are being exposed to entrepreneurship and being exposed to, problem solving and things like that, then you are already quite a few steps behind people in other jurisdictions who right from the get-go are trained to be people who do what? Who are problem solvers. And I think that is one key thing that our universities and other schools can start taking a look at as well. That right from the first year, what can we do so that our students are more thinkers and problem solvers as opposed to people who can do baba and then pour it and then in the final year they do some entrepreneurship course.
Thank you very much.
To add to what you have said, I think we should need to agree that there's a problem with the entire system. Because by the time they come in first year, the thinking is different. The thinking is, I want to get the certificate to go look for a job. So when you are trying to push all these entrepreneurial things into them, they are just looking at you as if they are just wasting their time. But then they need to understand that it's not the paper. The paper will get you probably into an interview, but then it leaves you there. Whether you get a job or not is the skills that you have. And I think largely as a technical university, we keep to achieve our mandate, which is to ensure that ours is technical driven, not memorizing concepts and all of that. But then there are challenges. This is not the place to talk about challenges. We don't have the appropriate labs, we don't have the facilities, but then we are doing our best. It might not be up to what is expected of us, but then we are doing our best. I also need to add that we also have an innovation hub as a university, which is managed by the entrepreneurial department. So for student projects that we think are innovative and has value, we are able to push them into the innovation hub. So as we speak, I think we should have three different groups from our department that are in the innovation hub currently.
Okay, so how many of us are from HDU here? Okay. Do you know me? Did I teach you? Immaculate. Okay. Most students don't like me. Yeah, they don't like entrepreneurship lectures because they think we are disturbing them. We seem to be disturbing them. So they hate the course so much. They want to just pass and go. Just go through and go. But then we have come to bridge the gap between science and the marketplace.
Ours is technical driven, not memorizing concepts and all of that. But then there are challenges. This is not the place to be talking about challenges. We don't have the appropriate labs, we don't have the facilities. But then we are doing our best. It might not be up to what is expected of us, but then we are doing our best. I also need to add that we also have an innovation hub as a university, which is managed by the entrepreneurial department. So for student projects that we think are innovative and has value, we are able to push them into the innovation hub. So as we speak, I think we should have three different groups from our department that are in the innovation hub area.
Okay, so how many of us are from HDU here? Okay. Do you know me? Did I teach you? Immaculate. Okay. Most students don't like me. Yeah, they don't like entrepreneurship lectures because they think we are disturbing them. We seem to be disturbing them. So they take the course so much. They want to just pass and go. Just go through and go. But then we have come to bridge the gap between science and the marketplace. And you are the science. The marketplace is here. So how will you bridge that gap? How will you come together? How will you bridge that gap? That's what we have come to do. The gap is to be bridged, to be closed through entrepreneurship. We beg you, we are not disturbing you. We are just helping you. Thank you.
Anyway, I used to be one of the students who complained about some of my all right. So taking go into consideration, what are some of the career prospects that are available for new developers, new training developers?
I think the opportunities are limitless as a developer. There are a lot of things waiting in hold to be done that we need the people to do them. There are lots of things. Currently, as we speak, we have HQ has recruited new staff who are looking for accommodation. I keep telling my students, it's a key business venture waiting to be explored. People come from all over the country to go and they are looking for accommodation. And you'll be looking for agents. Why can't we develop an app where you can just go online, say these are the kind of facilities I'm looking for? You see, you contact somebody within a space of a few minutes, you have your accommodation. So the options are limitless, not only in terms of web development, there's artificial intelligence, machine learning. The options are limited because there are a lot of things still waiting to be done that have not yet been done yet. So if you're a developer here, all you need to do is to focus on your area. There are lots of problems waiting to be solved. And you can be the one to be the next developer of Uber. There are a lot of business models that are based on software. That's an entire value chain comes out of just a little idea you think about. You have to employ lots of people out of it. Recently, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I don't know if anybody else has heard of Avi Shipman. Anybody? Avi Shipman. This is a 17-year-old young man in the US that developed a dashboard for the COVID-19. And this website is visited by 30 million people across the world a day. Right? So you can imagine the opportunities available to this young man. 17 years, okay, somewhere in the US. It is something that can also be done by someone also here. It's not, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to be able to do that. So there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of things that are waiting to be done. And we hope that this new crop of developers that are joining the community will take up the mantle and then take hold where it deserves to be. Go be the home to two great universities. We, those in the IT field, we believe that Ho should become the new Silicon Valley in Ghana. Say that. anybody thinks about technology and tools and software, you should come to home and come and get the skills. Thank you.
Okay, so in terms of website development, you may not know people who want to do it, that you can fetch for them. There are schools, mushroom schools that are springing up. You can go around, look for them, talk to them about the need for them to advertise online. Okay, then you convince them to try something and you develop a website for them. Some churches are struggling to spring up or to grow. So you just go to them and convince them to develop the website for them, and they will advertise their churches, their even businesses. Okay, so you go around, put your notes, jot the names of the organizations down, the churches, the schools, wherever the businesses, wherever you want to go, and go around town, ask them. You are starter, so you have to walk about, look for them. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely, the opportunities abound in you. I mean, if you just look closely at home, you will see that you can't walk past anywhere in town without thinking of something that you could do and do a little bit differently, right? And as technologists, that is how we should all be thinking, which is how can we use the skills that we have to do things very differently, right? Now, we do have one major challenge in the world, which is the fact that in business, there's a concept of quarters, 5 forces, or 6, as people have added something else to it now. But one of the pillars in there is what is called your buyer power, right? And it basically refers to your customer base, right? Now, in whole, our biggest problem or weakness that we have in terms of being technologists here is the fact that most of our customers in town here, and I'm talking about the local business owners and people like that, are not really very familiar with things like websites and the value that those things can bring, right? So that is the major barrier that we are all going to have to find a way to overcome that barrier, right? But that is a barrier that once you overcome that with one local entrepreneur, and you can show the value to them of what your services bring to the table, it will just open an avalanche of opportunities for everybody in town here, right? And one of the best ways to do that, right, is to walk out to an actual business person. Don't just walk out to them. Look, do your research about them. And when you go to them, there's the concept of loss aversion, which you want to be able to speak to them, which is the fact that if you show them the loss and the gains, and you show them that they are already losing by not taking advantage of web technologies and the opportunities that they provide for you, then they are going to start listening to you a lot more, because you're showing them that by not putting their business, for example, on a website where people can easily see, they are losing money. If you can show a local business person that, then it becomes easier now to communicate to them the advantage that your solution or your website is going to bring to them, right? And you only have to do that with the first person. Do it and do it well. Once you do that, the rest will just open up opportunities for you, right? So I think the opportunities are there. They abound. People obviously are going to have a challenge overcoming that inertia to get into adapting technologies of this nature. And that's going to be our biggest problem. Finding a way to make sure they understand that by not leveraging these opportunities, they are leaving money on the table. And if you can do that, then we can take advantage of all the opportunities around.
I think there is a favorite matching joint opposite Melcom, right? Sure. Yeah. I'm not a fan of watching, but I see the queue there. That is pretty cool. So let's look at it. There is no point for a watching seller having a website. Yes, that is very true. But there is a point that you, the technologists, can make out of it. If I am to make money out of it, I'm not looking at putting that person on the website, but I'm looking at being able to provide a system where somebody at both university or any of the other places can place an order, can pick it up, and then do the needful. Perhaps you have some motor rider whatsoever. And this can all be done through web technologies. By making sure that people can buy online or make their orders online and it's delivered to them, that business is already finding its way online. I'm not sure the taste may be too different from my landlady, Mama Ruth's rice. It's the same approach. Now, another opportunity that you can also look at is a rating. I mean, there are many water watching joints. Is that not it? So why don't you compare all the watching joints in whole and then rate them? So that my colleague who just resumed or who just assumed duty at HTU can simply know the best watching if it comes to spicy, can easily know the best watching if it comes to the wele and all the locations where the person can get it. Rating is one of the biggest business. Okay, and we have tourism. So why can't we convert the various things that we have in home into some kind of a tourist attraction and then have a site around it? I keep mentioning your business approach. How do you want to make the money? That watches seller, I'm telling you, recently we had Mr. Dr. Yuhen who was giving out awards. You just have your budget rating facility, and people can't pay you to rate them high. If you want to, I mentioned trust. So this is where the trust counts. Ask whether you want to really rate the person high without the accompanying criteria that suits the high rating. It's trust. So you have to look at it. Education. Recently, after the COVID-19, we had a couple of students who are having issues with redeeming. HT used to admit unconditional, we do not do it anymore. So when you are getting closer to finishing, we require you to redeem that week grade in order to graduate. So I contacted one of my students who happened to be a teacher, but I was teaching at the university by the way. You know what? He calls the students at 3 a.m. and teaches them on Zoom. As I'm talking right now, the limit is not full. It's having 3 students out of home, but it's having 25 students. It's having 3 students in home, but it's having 25 students out of home. And it's all about Zoom. So it's about your idea and how you intend to make the money out of it. Well, blogging is also another thing. Transportation. I think recently I had a number of students who were working on a project called Mijo. Mijo was just a nice concept. You can compare it to carpooling, where we know many people want to travel to Accra, and if you want to travel to Accra from home, you may likely be driving 4 additional entities. Is that not it? It costs money. So if you're not just going to look at the economic issues surrounding you, but also look at the environmental and sustainability issues in general, because more fuel you gain, the more you pollute the environment, and that comes against the future generation. So Mijo was very simple. You go into Accra, you log into the app, you simply say, well, I want a car which will be going to Accra on Friday evening. A number of them show up, you see the car, you see the number, you see the driver, the criteria. You're okay. If you say, I want to join you. At the same time, it comes to your office, pick you up, and then drop you off at the central place in Accra and find your way. This is actually a trade-off from the discomfort of the commercial vehicle and also enjoy a piece of the private vehicle, having a win-win approach. But the question is, how do you make the money? So you can look at it. The last one is, well, you can choose to be employed. All these things that I'm talking about, you can make a lot of money. Maybe you can be making some 5,000 a month. But if you choose to be employed by maybe one of the, how do you call it, some of the private schools or maybe one of the hotels, and you're being paid 500 Ghana cedis, it's your pace. It's your pace. So you must make your choice. There are a number of them that we can list out here. Just sit down and think. Money can be found at the most unrealistic places. Don't forget about places. How many times did you pass by your neighbor's gate and the housewives are doing their own things over there. Is there any way possible to partner a waste management company having an app, a web app that can track where the car will be passing, when it will be passing next, where the refuse to be full or the capacity and all that? I mean, these are all good money. The opportunities are endless. These are my earlier speakers mentioned. Thank you.
When I was talking first, I mentioned what I said, research, right? Oftentimes I restrain from prescribing solutions, right? And I mentioned the word research because it is the one area where a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, fall short, right? In the sense that we see what we think is a problem, definitely, right? And we come up with what we think is a solution, right? Or in fact, a lot of times it works the reverse. As entrepreneurs, we see what we think is a good idea, and then we go see something that looks like a problem, and all we are looking for is to confirm that yes, our solution actually solves that problem, right? It's called confirmation bias, right? We already have a pre-existing idea, and all you're doing is looking for information to confirm that, and then we jump into solutioning. That is one of the biggest ways to fail in entrepreneurship. So it's always important, right, that you take one step back and you ask yourself, what problem am I trying to solve? So if you want to look at opportunities in the whole town here, I say opportunities abound because every time I'm walking around, I'm asking myself, well, what is the problem here? Why is this happening? How can it be solved? And sometimes I randomly walk up to people and I actually ask them. I did it recently. I actually walked to the lorry station. There were a couple of drivers. I was observing something, and I just went and engaged them in a discussion. It was enlightening what I learned from them as the problems that they have. And that is one of the key traits that all of us as technologists here need to make sure that we have. Because without being able to approach people and talk with them and ask questions and understand what their problems are, we are going to be blind to the opportunities that exist around us. You understand that? So we have the opportunities. The only way to actually unearth them is to ask the relevant questions of the people that we are trying to serve with those problems. So as Madhi Mali has mentioned these examples, he has been in this industry for a while here. So his conversations mean that he's exposed to a lot of the issues that people are already facing. So it's easy for him to come up with what ideas that can solve some of these problems that he already knows about, right? But what about you? He's not going to be there always to give you the ideas of what you should do. So the one thing we should learn to do in order to enable you see and take advantage of opportunities is to learn to ask questions. Why is this? Why is this? The 5 whys. You're familiar with that concept, right? So ask why. Then when you get an answer, ask another why again. When you get an answer, keep going until you get to the point where you're like, okay, this is the root problem. Now, how do we solve the problem?
So by so doing, you will not be doing Me Too businesses. What is a Me Too business? Someone is doing it, so let me also do it. It's fetching, so let me also do it. The recent example is the facial. The facial, when they started, was selling at 60 cities, 50, 45, 40. Then everybody developed their interest, and they started ordering 20 pieces, 200 pieces for 20 cities. And look at it. It ended in tears. Yes, so if you are fond of doing Me Too businesses, that's what will happen to you. So think again and ask questions. Why? Research so that you get what the people want and give it to them. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add a little to what my big brother said. I teach software engineering, and one of the key things we teach our students is requirement gathering. As a developer, you don't sit in your room and imagine that, okay, this is the problem that these people are facing. So let me develop an app or a system to solve their problem. It will fail. you have to go to your customers to understand they have problem. What is the problem that they have? That's the only time you can develop a system that can solve the problem. Otherwise, you develop your software, but then nobody will be interested in it. In fact, I need to tell you the truth. In software development, there are actually more failures than successes. In software development, there are actually more failures than successes. What it means is that a lot of the apps that people develop and they don't hit the market, we don't get to hear about them. They are way more than the ones that we hear about. And these are some of the reasons why these softwares are not able to transition into mainstream. You need to be sure of what the problem is that they are trying to solve. And our brother keep talking about need to have and nice to have. Sometimes developers feel that, okay, I have the skill set to be able to do this, so let me just go ahead and do it. There are some of the things that you come up with, they're just nice to have. If I have it, it's nice. If I don't have it, I'm still okay. But if the software is solving a need, you don't have to spend a lot of money in marketing it. It's market itself because it's solving a problem that is already there with the people. People just accept it because it has been something that is there with them. But if it's just something that's, okay, this is nice, but if I don't have it, it doesn't really change anything about me. Then you will not be achieving the purpose for which you want to receive. I also want to add that adoption of software go through stages. Right? So as a developer, you also need to persevere. You don't just start and you think that you're going to make the money. I think that's another problem that we make. The focus is too much on the money. Right? The focus should rather be on driving a solution. When you have a solution to a problem that people have, the money just follows. So stop looking at the money that you'll be making at the end of the day. Look at how do I solve this problem for people. If you are solving the problem for the people, the money will naturally just follow. So let's stop thinking about the big monies and all of those. The money will come, but it's a